Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel where today we're doing turn 2 of the 7 Pine scenario from Great Campaigns of the American Civil War on to Richmond 2 that just came out um, last month, I think, or so is when I got it. But I'm playing on Vassal, obviously. It's just easier to um, keep track of, and I can leave it without anything getting messed up. So, we're on turn 2. Like I mentioned at the end of the last episode, Ripley and Walker got released, so their brigades can enter the battle if they can. The rain it let up, so we have normal movement this turn. And now we just have to roll like normal to see who gets the initiative, because nobody like automatically gets initiative for this turn. So we'll roll, and it's a Confederate initiative. So now we have to decide, do we want to activate D.H. Hill probably to attack Casey to open up the pike, or do we activate Longstreet and use his entire movement to get in front of Hooker and Sedgwick, since it's Zoc to Zoc? Or do we activate Smith's Corps to come down to Fisher's Ford? So I think what we're gonna do is, I don't know. Hmm. Think we will activate. Let's activate Longstreet's Corps. Doesn't matter what we roll for movement because he can only move one hex because of Zoc to Zoc. And he doesn't get disordered because he's on the pike still. So everybody gets increased to 1 fatigue. And now we're over to the Union, the next activation, which is a Union activation. Casey might just have to be a sacrificial lamb, because if he goes this way, I believe. Oh no, I take that back. He could go along the railroad and not be disorganized, even though he's already disorganized. So I think that would probably get him messed up. Anyway, so I think it might be worth. Um, yeah, okay, we're gonna activate Casey. Doesn't matter because we're just gonna use the railroad to go from Zoc to Zoc. And that'll be the Union movement. Next initiative is another activation, Union activation, I should say. Sorry, he gets a fatigue. And I think Casey will, since we're going to activate him again. So 1d6, 4. So this is a 1 for the road, plus another 1 because he's exiting the dock. For 2. And he won't be able to get into here because of the stacking limits, but at least he is out of hopefully out of the firing line and he can get into this stack or maybe even this stack next activation. So we increase his fatigue. It's another union activation, and I think we're gonna have to try activating Casey again. So he's gonna roll, he gets a 5. That'll give him enough to get into here. He does increase his fatigue, and there's going to be a couple of modifiers on this one. +1 for going to 2 to 3 for being exhausted, and +1 for being a union unit. So it's going to be a +2, 5. That has no effect, so it's good for Casey. Now we go to our next initiative. Another union. I'm wondering if we should just move Keys, his demoralized units, down to help Jameson, or maybe just down to the railroad bridge as like a last fallback spot for everybody. Because if these guys have to fall back, they're going to go to here, and then Keys' core is going to be easy pickings for, yeah, so let's go ahead and activate Keys. It's a 3. So we'll just move, first we'll move Nagley's brigade. And then we can move, well, we're just going to move everybody 1 and increase their fatigue. And now we roll for initiative. Finally, it's the Confederates again. I think we're going to activate D.H. Hill's core, try to get him up to this hex so we could do a grand assault on Sumner over here. So activate D.H. Hill. It's a 2 plus a 1 for, sorry, I'm just realizing, I forget what Keys rolled, so I don't know if he was able to move both of them, but see, I have it up and I still forget. Oh well, I don't think it's going to matter at the grand scheme of things. So D.H. Hill rolled a 2 for his move, +1 because he gets a +1 because he's a Confederate infantry leader, so a 3. So that will be enough to get Rhodes into this hex and stopped. And then it's, I always forget. So it's 1, 2, and then 3, 4 would be cost 4 to get into here. So I'm wondering if we, instead of this, we do 1, 2, 3 for D.H. Hill. And then 1, 2, 3 for Rhodes. That's kind of gamey, but whatever, it works. So Rhodes is now set. It'd be nice to get other units in here. I'm wondering if now the Union should fall back even further. I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, so it's a Union activation. The thing is, though, it would take so many activations to get everybody moved, because Heinzelman has Kearney's division and Hooker's division, so he could move them if he gets, yep, he could move both of them. But then Richardson, Casey, and Sumner, well, Sevcik would be out here. So I think we just have to leave them because it would just be too hard to move like it'd be so disjointed. We'd be, you know, hoping to get a bunch of activations in a row. So the Union is going to pass. which means Confederates activation. And I think we're going to try a grand assault. So we're going to use Longstreet's Corps. Well, Longstreet would initiate an assault on this stack here. Longstreet has, first we'll increase everybody's fatigue. Longstreet has a command of 6, so we roll for this. 6 minus 2 is 4, so everybody in this stack can participate. So now we're going to try a grand assault with Johnston. His command is 4. So we roll for Johnston. Is a 4. A 4 minus 4 is 0. So the grand assault doesn't happen. So it's just Longstreet's Corps on the attack. So let's count everything up. So we have 15 and 15 is 30 compared to 33, I believe. Yep, so 30 to 33 is a 1-to-1. No flank attack bonus. Artillery, we have 8 for the Union and 2, 4, 9 for the Confederates, so it's a +1. Where was it? Here. So +1 in rough or rolling, so we need to roll, and oops, there it is. So no modifiers used because it was an odd roll. And what else? Assault for +1. No ratio. Tactical 4 compared to a 3 is a +1, so it's a +2 overall. And it's not a rain turn, so we're just at +2. I believe that's right. So let's roll. Oh, so it's a 5-to-1, so it's a +4. So starting with the Union, they had what was it, 33, I believe. Yep, 33. So defending 33 +4 is a 3 DR. So let me take care of that real quick and I'll show you where they ended up. So Sedgwick and Hooker are demoralized, disordered, and routed back to Bottoms Bridge. And now the Confederates are at 30. +4 is they take 1. Oh, sorry, I forgot to do, of course, fatigue. So +4 is 1 casualty, and they get fatigued, I believe, and they advance. So I'll take care of that and bring you back. Okay, so we took a loss from Pickett's demi division and then advanced everybody, but they're all exhausted. And now, because of the special rules, we have to roll a die to see if Johnston is wounded. So on an even, there's no effect. On an odd, he's wounded. So here we go. Oh, it's a 1, so he's wounded, which means he is removed from the battlefield. Very historical, even though so far this result is not historical. So Johnston's removed, and now we have to play the rest of the scenario without a leader. Okay, so after that battle, I tried taking a look at the victory point and manpower losses, whatever, to see where we're standing and whether it's worth playing anymore. Because, so Longstreet's Corps is kind of exhausted out. We have R.H. Anderson that could still move and try to capture Savage's Station. But he would be open to a counterattack by, who's this? Heinzelman? Yep. I mean, Richardson could attack. I don't know. Anyway, so we could try to capture Savage's Station, which is worth 4 victory points, and doing so would get us over the 20 we need for a decisive victory. Because right now we have a substantive victory for the Confederates, I think. Um, so, yeah. And then, or we could wait for Hughie, Ripley, and Walker to come up. I mean, now that we don't have Johnston, though, it's harder to do a grand assault with them. It'd all just be piecemeal. Smith's corps, probably a mistake now bringing it down the, what is this, the James City Pike, I think. James City Road. Charles City Road. Wow, okay, very wrong there. Bringing down this road instead of the Williamsburg Pike. I mean, we could still attack Jameson and maybe, depending on how our rolls are, get up to around here, but I doubt we'll have enough activations left to attack either of these. Because even though, I mean, yes, they're demoralized and disorganized, but they're still pretty hefty stacks here, Hooker and Sedgwick. And so I don't know that we're going to be able to capture either of these two. The only thing we could do with D.H. Hill's corps would be to attack this stack, but he'd be outnumbered. So that's not really worth it. So I think we're just going to, for the sake of time and bringing it to a close, we're just going to call the scenario done here with a Confederate substantive victory. The Union is going to just resign at this point, I think, so that we don't have to drag it out. So kind of in review, I mean, like most of the time with these games, it really has to do with who gets the, oh, okay, somehow I deleted them. Okay. Well, I don't know how I did that. Somehow I deleted them and I can't control Z it. So, all right, guess that's over. So, yeah, that's my, I mean, as I was starting to say, it's like, it really has to do with who gets some dice roll, good initiative dice roll, and gets a string of activations. The Confederates really benefited from a string of activations, not allowing the Union to consolidate their defenses. And I've played this scenario where it's like it ends on not even before the first turn's end, like done, because the Confederates suffer huge losses when they attack Casey out here in the front, or Keyes's corps. It could just go the opposite way, and Confederates are losing a lot of manpower. So it does come down to dice rolls. But overall, I think it's a pretty balanced scenario. It's a pretty quick scenario. So if you're thinking about getting into the system and you picked up on to Richmond, definitely give this scenario a try. It's a manageable amount of counters. It's manageable, what do you want to call it? Footprint for the map. You only have to use the north map. And yeah, it gives you kind of a taste of everything, gets you a lot of action, and it'll be over pretty quickly. The special scenario rules are very manageable. There's not too many there. So yeah, I think it's a very enjoyable scenario, and definitely give it a shot yourself. Let me know, if you saw something that I did wrong. Nice thing about the Great Campaign series is there's not too many finicky rules. So yeah, it's easy to kind of keep everything in mind, and you only have to really refer to the rule book to check, like, okay, is this, like, what's the DRM or stuff like that. Anyway, so hope you enjoyed it. I don't know what I'm going to be playing next, but hope you tune in for that. Till then, take care. Bye for now.